Welcome everyone to this live stream. I guess we're live, at least we should be live. To another episode here. Welcome to our live software development, low-level kernel and such channel here. And you've seen, those who are here already, recurring viewers, not only do I have some vintage gear, but now with this YouTube channel, some people give us new stuff, like new old stuff, totally amazing viewers that have this oversized thing standing around as some blade. Do you want to have it? And I was like, yeah, sure, if you don't want to get rid of it. And yeah, a little bit bigger, it's, you know, SJO2, a little bit more compact. Anyway, so yeah, totally amazing. But as usual, when this stuff arrives, SGI, Octane, Sunblade, you've seen regressions, Ultra 5 I had and such, using floppy oopses on what else did we had, doesn't shut down anymore, and so recurring theme, I booted T2, our increasingly successful Linux here, and booted, everything worked except Fibre Channel. Fibre Channel, the newer than SCSI for those playing along at home. And so yeah, first I used an external SCSI drive and to install it, and then it's like, yeah, this internal Fibre Channel would actually be quite nice to have. And so yeah, I spent 6 hours over the last days, nearly 8, maybe nearly 8 with some management overhead, and wanted to bring you. So why do I make a video? I could just not make a video like I've done for 20 years, not done videos, but to entertain you, to learn something, and also the idea was to do open source and interesting research and development, and yeah, obviously I need to make a YouTube video, otherwise there is no AdSense income. So what is the issue? So it turns out what I present to you, you should not forget. So I spent, I bisected, booted, I tested probably 100, changed, bisected and modified kernel modules. The module in question is QLogic QLA, QL2, QLA2 XXX, Fibre Channel and SCSI Fibre Channel and fun stuff. And what I present to you here in a couple of minutes is the result of 6 to 8 hours. The problem is, if I would have live streamed it, 8 hours would be totally boring, and also it looks totally obvious, right? So that is the thing. I said this before also when I tried a decade ago, tried to do embedded Linux. The customers always like, YOLO, whatever, I should pay 8 hours for this 3-liners. Like, yeah, I was sitting here 6 hours, right? What do you expect? Like PowerPC, ARM, MIPS, you name it. It's like, and this was always a discussion, and this is also why since a decade I've not done that much kernel stuff. And so this stuff looks totally obvious, and this is also the more embarrassing, in my opinion, why this broke. So it turns out it was working a long time ago, and other people, so I've obviously not the first, but so in 6 years, so it's broken since 6 years, and nobody freaking fixed it since then. And I wanted also to give some 2 cents on that situation. So yeah, 3.17, so after success with 3.17, so yeah, and also some Debian people sometimes accuse me of lying so much here, black on white, not making this shit up. Even in Debian land, everything since 3.18 fails with V880, internal Fibre Channel controller, firmware inet. So this is exactly what I had here. This is normal, but then actually, wait a second, where is this? This is actually not the, which kernel is it even? It should say here init failed. Anyway, this is probably the working version, or is it whatever. And so yeah, not the only one. And again, even Googling this didn't return. It took also like an hour after I fixed some stuff and debugged it just to come up with this email trail of this paper trail. And so, which email was this? This was another email of Debian. So yeah, just another, yeah, like Spark 64 installation. The Debian people were saying, yeah, everything works. Stop your YouTube lives. Like, no, not everything in Debian. The same shit doesn't work. We didn't fix it. Anyway, QLogic 2200 driver. It's like, yeah, no surprise there. So yeah, just some Debian paper trail of, yeah, of course it didn't work there either. So I bisected this, and came here to this commit, and so this is so obvious that it hurts, and it is set. It really is set that. So this is 2014, right? So not making this shit up. It's broken since 2014, since this commit also reviewed here, committed and reviewed and signed off by famous kernel people who, in my opinion, somewhat should have known better. Although, well, it's not their change, but yeah. The problem in Linux land, they constantly keep changing, right? So this was working, they need to touch it, change it, move code around. It's somehow, I've sometimes the feeling they just want to have a salary at QLogic, at Oracle, at stuff, so they keep moving stuff left and right and just touching it and changing some types and stuff, and yeah, just to have an occupation without improving much, and often actually breaking something. So this is the result of 6 hours of bisecting, and actually it took a while longer also, because the problem is also with all the changes, often it didn't compile, often it didn't boot, and also edit, compile, reboot is super, because the reboot times is firmware init, and booting always takes like reboot SCP something easily 5 minutes or something. This is why it's super time consuming. And I also gathered some data, so I added some data logging there to see what's actually going on, and then I found here that some of these fields were endiness swept. So this is the offending commit that we, after all the 6 hours of trial and error and testing and debugging and data logging. So what have they done? So also not changing all of these types, no, changing one why the freaking heck changing one of this U in 16, for those who are new to see, 16-bit, 2 bytes, 16-bit stuff. So all of this stuff here is little endian on the hardware. There's a RISC processor in this QLogic controller, like so often, and as we've seen with all the graphic and sound programming here on this channel, of course, if it's more than 1 byte, the hardware also has some native endianness. Hardware meaning video or SCSI block stuff. So, I mean, why not change all, changing one? This is also __, yeah, also readable types, and then some Linux kernel types, like, yeah, thank you very much. Not very helpful. And so the big issue is that's not the bug is here, changing all of this. And so here comes so much together, which I'm already for a decade moved a little bit out of this embedded Linux stuff, because nobody wants to pay it anyway. And since a decade, so I've spent 1 decade, like 1998-ish or 1996-ish to 2006, and I thought Linux is the latest and greatest. And then after a decade, I realized, yeah, it's not that great actually. Also, this all the C stuff in there, and ever-changing stuff and bugs and regressions. And look at this. So they changed the. This is probably, I'm not sure who submitted this. Maybe QLogic. So changing this. So changing this from CPU to little endian 16, 2085 here from this frame payload size, to just 2048, and so that's a bug, and that's also a bug, and that's a bug, and that's also a bug, and that's also a bug. And they probably so how did this happen? They probably thought that this __ little endian 16 magically byte swaps this, and because this nearly only affects the not only big endian, but this is only a case for if the controller, the fiber channel QLogic controller, doesn't have an attached NVRAM, which usually it has unless it's Sun, because Sun has proper NVRAM and they use it from the open firmware. So this is a total corner case that obviously they have not tested, because who has a Sun Spark, right? Yeah, also testing on this channel, each time we didn't test something, we usually break something. So yeah, don't touch stuff you can't test. But this should be so obvious, and in my opinion, this famous popular kernel maintainers, in my opinion, somewhat committing this. They should have known better, and we will see in the paper trail in a second that they knew better. So yeah, a total bug. And so the other problem is, so not only, I said this before, C is difficult, even highly paid kernel developers at QLogic or at Oracle, at Red Hat SUSE, C is difficult, and humans are humans, and they make mistakes. Yeah, also, I said this before, in my own code, I prefer a little higher level C++, and RISC-V video, in my code, like exact image and other code, and certainly our microkernel, we will use automatically endianness conversion stuff, because you would think this automatically converts endianness from big to little endian, but it doesn't, right? So what does it do? I actually had to look this up and found this here. So this is simply typedef __ u16 bitwise. So this is not doing any magic. You can't even really do this. In C++ you can do this. You can construct your own functor for objects or something, what I have done with templates in exact image already a decade ago, because professionals here and stuff. So this is not doing much. This bitwise is only telling the compiler like to bitwise attribute, is it not even, can't make this up, not like to do like half word quantity load and stores or something, gcc attribute bitwise, and it's mostly used for the checker. I'm also wondering, they have here checker, wait a second, if def checker, and actually wait a second, so it's only actually, this is funny, they only use this if they use this with their checker. So I also wonder why this checker stuff of kernel checking stuff didn't scream at this, because in my opinion probably it should if it's not coming from their LE16 type conversion stuff. But yeah, there we have it. C being C in 2020 or stuff, where there's even so many tabs here of, is it even a sparse style, sparse static, something. Anyway, not even sure if the GCC supports this, maybe not. Maybe that's a pure sparse checking. But yeah, they have some checking which didn't even maybe not scream at that. And yeah, but this situation is worse. Where did I even, no, I clicked here on so much, here we have it. So yeah, so this does nothing. Again, you can't even really do it easily, like nicely in C, like previous video we've done this with RISC-V framework, even reading fat. So yeah, in my microkernel, and given the state of affairs, I probably really need to eventually really start with it. And yeah, questions audience, fixing again stiff in the kernel, yes, unfortunately. So yeah, so this is no operation, it's like only for this sparse checker. I really wanted that it didn't scream, so this is a bug here. And so am I the only one who noticed? No, someone has bisected this already when this occurred here. Joe Kern Lucio. Oh no, wait a second. Miles Roos sending this to Joe. Yeah, QLogic. And yeah, so between 3.17 to 3.18, so this was spotted quite soon, just some weeks later, amazingly. It was even discussed. Here, should we revert this change? Yes, you freaking should. Man, it's totally broken. Yes, yada yada. And then, which is bisect, where is even, yeah, so then the committer here, Christoph Helwig, I think this was the committer. Yeah, so he committed this, signed this off. Also, yeah, 2014, decade veteran Linux kernel developers review it, like, yeah, amazing review, 1000 eyes, catch this, not. And then, yeah, can we send a word ASAP? And yeah, nothing really happens. Also get Uitterhoeven, so said, yeah, switching from UN16 to __ LE16, but removing CPU LE16 operations looks indeed very fishy. It's like greetings, like, yeah, and this was 2014, and here we are 6 years later. Unsuccessful woman, YouTube distribution guy needs to point this and get this fixed. And the problem is also here, since this is so crazy, you would think a decade old, and by this, so this QLogic stuff is 20 freaking years old, right? And when you look at this, how many is the problem? Also, not only C, like C is difficult and few people master it correctly, and those who do, also humans, make mistakes, overlook stuff, have a bad day and stuff. And yeah, we should also not build our infrastructure on people, humans noticing an issue and not having a bad day. But the issue is also, this are 100 offset, 1000, right? Look at how many commits, edit interface, fix regression, introduce config-fs changes. So this are 1000 offset. How many changes? So even to today, they keep randomly changing this stuff every week. Address, sparse warnings, like, thank you very much. Address a set of sparse warnings. But also, a decade later, it's like still messing around with more LE16 sparse warning stuff, because that is so C and Linux kernel, and which I have no faith in. Anyway, it's not even faith, it's like technologically it was 2000 already, not state of the art. We need more memory safe, more microkernel, more address space isolation, security, and not. It's like, seriously, what the heck? And yet 20 years later, we're still messing around here with endianness stuff. Initialize n before using it, not making this stuff up, and trivial spelling, okay. But so many, every week a change here in a 20-year-old driver stuff. You need to click here on, how much does it? You need to click here a couple of times, 200 changes. 1,000 commits since then, not making this stuff up, and yet this vital thing. But I have one more shocker. I already sent this in, and yesterday, and you will not believe, it's a little bit tiny, but that's what it is now. Can we zoom this? Maybe, hey, we can zoom this. So I sent this in, and it's of course the usual discussion why I'm also already not the most. Each time I call this commit somewhat like, somewhat reluctant to use this word, but I personally I call this a little bit of Linux kernel commit Nazis. Sorry for this term, but in my opinion, I certainly know how to somewhat, well, most people, if they send something in, it's random garbage. Of course, I'm not daily sending it in. I know mostly how to format it, because the Linux kernel developers are very picky about the format. So the problem is also, you send something, it's like, change this text, change this, reference this. Like, I'm already, well, I only do it like once a year, because YOLO, whatever. I'm really tired and sick and tired of this C code. And then when I already mostly know how to send it in, it's like, change this, change that. I'm really so sick and tired. It's like, where was it even? So this, I sent this in here, obviously. And also when you resubmit this patch, please use fixes text, like, you cannot, this 3-liner, right? You cannot just freaking commit this 3-liner. You need, I didn't put their fixes, well, I had in the commit message, probably here, it's like commit yada yada in 2014 broke QLA on Spark 60, blah, blah. I mean, I had it commit there. It's like, you need to put, it's like, seriously, man. But it is worse. It's even worse, because in 2020 I already say, hey, look, this is broken, obviously, right? And in 2020 you still get the answer from Oracle, people working at Oracle, not making this stuff up, working on the kernel, and looking at the changes, I see that the frame payload size was changed to underscore LE16, so this should not cause regressions in your environment. It's like, what the freaking heck? You really think in 2020 that, as just shown, kernel maintainers at Oracle in 2020 thinks this typedef underscore LE16 is freaking endianness conversion? No, it's just for your sparse checker. It's not freaking automatically converting the endianness. It's even I know this as a hobby part-time Linux kernel contributor. And so in this weekly IT news, bugs, regression, security issues, security vulnerabilities. Why is stuff also in Intel's management engine in CPUs? Why is stuff broken? Because people still, well, humans are being humans, and they just don't know what this low-level stuff is doing. And yeah, C is hard, granted, but I have no words for this. This should automatically work in your environment with no, it doesn't. And that is also, of course, I can't read the mind of those people here who did this original change, but judging from this change here, it is clear to me that the original author, maybe at QLogic, probably thought, because why would he change this? So this whole commit, right, fits nearly on one full HD screen here. He clearly thought that this is automatically endianness conversion, and this is also the problem. Last but not least, my final point here to this stuff, this is also a problem, right? This is __ LE for little endian 16-bit. This is, in my opinion, a programmer like C API Linux kernel usability bug that you encourage people like, hey, this is doing some little endian 16 auto magically. It's like, no, it's only for their sparse checker and nothing else. So while in theory it's a nice attempt, and certainly in our, as seen previously, what do I even mean? I mean, I could also show you that here in our source, pico soc rv32, pico soc for our not sure if I have this in large font right now, maybe not which firmware this was, probably in firmware. C, let's see if we're not so lucky, but okay, we can also use BI in the terminal. So what I mean with this is, we have here from exact image for TIFF and BMP and PNG loading, some endianness conversion stuff, and in C++, and this is why I prefer C++. We have here endianness converter stuff where you can in C++ indeed do this automatically with functors on this plain old data objects, even if it's just uint32 internally in a struct aka class. And we could have done this, so this is little endianness trait, so we could actually define this. Some viewer in the probably should have thought somehow. It never bothered me that much, but we could actually make this here slightly nicer and type defing this to _ little endian 32 and have exactly that effect. 16n. So have exactly this effect, and this is why, in my opinion, the Linux kernel should have long time ago, 20 years ago, switched to lightweight C++ to have some of this automagically stuff happening. We could either call it that, or I'm not the greatest fan of this _ business. This is mostly for like, yeah, it's our implementation defined stuff, and it's not like really standard, or you should not. It's like our internal stuff, and it shouldn't collide with other user space or other your own code stuff or your own defined switches here. If we would type def it like that, then this would be so much more readable. I somehow wonder why I've never bothered to do that, but that is what I love, this growing YouTube community here on this channel. Often well, sometimes people on other comments think I can't. It's like, if you in the meantime have not realized that I'm rather good at C++ and some other stuff, then I'm sorry, God. At least better than Oracle C knowledge. But given the other IT news, vulnerabilities and security and stuff, you probably guessed by now that probably wouldn't trust Oracle products too much. Anyway, so yeah, this is what did I even, was this 32? In the meantime, I forgot what this was. Anyway. So yeah, this certainly would this so much better. Don't save it now. But that's basically it for today. I probably could have had the second camera. I probably need to work on the Hollywood-like cinematography here for the angles, but this thing is rather large. The photo is not really doing it justice, especially as it's hiding there a little bit for the second, the side, it's rather bulky, which is also why I got it, because now took too much space, which is certainly amazing. Also, the good thing is the more is broken upstream, the more people donate stuff to me because they don't want to use it, because it's a paperweight with everything broken, except when people like me come along and fix the stuff. But yeah, that's it, what I wanted to summarize. All in all, it's super trivial, it's hilarious and ridiculous that it wasn't fixed in 6 years, despite early warnings and 2014 November discussions of can you please send a revert ASAP, and like, yes, please revert this patch, should have never have deleted the calls to constant CPU early 16. Because of this discussion, yeah, the overhead of sending it to the Linux kernel is also, yeah, it's like with all the precise email formatting it. Fun fact, when I send something to the Linux kernel, I use my trusty Emacs new setup, because all the modern, what is this now? All the modern, oops, was it probably not too, yeah, all the modern email stuff, but maybe I show you. Let's send this in, because the overhead of just fixing it for me 6 hours, the overhead of polishing it so and adding the text and answering the emails, it's not like, why do you need 2 hours extra overhead? Because you nicely format it. So if you nicely format the email, there QL2xxx Linux SCSI. Let's see, does Google already find it? If you just write the email, then, oh wait a second, I probably committed it already. I can show you this from T2 trunk packages Linux, and that is QLA Big Endian. And did I not commit this? I thought I committed this, no. Anyway, let's polish that on the more live channel just for the sake of it. And I thought I committed this already, but apparently not. And just writing this stuff here nicely and then dealing with the replies. So just like this is like 10 minutes, figuring out where to send it, double check it, test build it, write the text, copy the commit stuff, and then dealing with like they have like, but this, and does it really fix this, and can you revert it this, and just answering in the meantime probably 4 or 5 emails, already over 1 hour gone, and then redoing it, redoing the text. I also changed this to constant CPU early 16. Don't think it makes, of course it doesn't make a difference at all, but when they already had this constant CPU stuff, then yeah, let's just use it, yeah, YOLO, whatever. But yeah, all in all, let's finish this patching stuff on the more live channel, so maybe for Q&A and your fun and stuff, I need to do it anyway. And yeah, that's it for today. And at least I now have a fiber channel, working fiber channel stuff on a Spark 64. And thanks again for donating this amazing machine. It takes a little bit of space, but my fastest Spark was a overclocked 400 megahertz, like 360 overclocked to 400 previous video, Ultra 5. So after 15 years, it's certainly nice to have a way faster Spark with dual processor, 1.2 gigahertz, 4 gigs or 8, depending on, it came with 8, but it might not be fully stable. So yeah, 4 to 8 gigs of memory and fiber channel, certainly fiber channel adapter always nice to have. Although as usual, I want to, okay, let's do this here on this channel. Although the problem is always then because so many people tuned in. So let's log into the data center where I test built this. So is this the right? Oh, this wasn't the right IPv6 IP. It's of course that one. And I thought I committed this earlier this morning when I also, yeah, dedication and stuff, of course, at home. Did I not? What have I done here? Wait a second, I think I'm pretty sure I committed this together. Why is this not slightly irritated? T2 trunk package Linux. Don't tell me I again didn't save it, or QLA. No, constant. Why is here no? What is wrong with this stuff? Or the browser did cache this. Can't make this stuff up. So much to that. Yeah. So this is a final text with fixes here of this, and constant. In my earlier version, I only had CPU early 16. So let's send it in again, because we can never send it often enough. Of course, we use Emacs. So in previous times, I used X-Emacs, but unfortunately, didn't want to show that though. But I think right now that's nothing too top secret in the emails. So yeah, then let's probably, does it work? I'm actually not even sure. Can I reply to this email, or maybe also not using mu every day? What's this? Okay, just kill this buffer. Okay, kill this buffer worked. Also piezo PC speaker, right? Also this is somehow when you're not using, go to folder so that looks better. Send. Where's my send folder? Folder name, inbox, send, and then patch QLA. Does this mu have some send as new or resend? Let's see. Refile, what does refile do? Cannot refile this invalid message? Nah. Does it have edit? Okay, fine, let's resend to? This is funny. Yeah, problem is, although I don't really have too many, also this is not the smallest. Certainly 15 years ago my mu view was much better. Here's maybe, what is here? Forward, multi-forward. Here's re-edit. Re-edit, capital E, obviously. So yeah, Linux SCSI, we can CC this as a person, then we would, let's go to, yeah, of course, let me check. Inbox. Here is to just CC this proper person. And Oracle, who was so interested, what can I? Yeah. Only live on this channel, making it the most complicated to send a patch. Nah. Do I still have which buffer? New message? This one? No. I have a feeling I killed my inbox, and then you're wondering. The reason I need to use something like that is that, so capital E resend, so let's see if we can now do it. Now we managed that. The reason is that most modern software, not certainly Apple Mail that I still sometimes use, but even Thunderbird is either not white space safe or breaking long lines. So this is why I and everyone else needs to use another email client. It's also hilarious, in my opinion, super hilarious that in 2020 Thunderbird is still not white space safe and breaking long lines. Not sure if it has some tweak to change that, but it's really hilarious that open source people can't use one of the major browsers to send their patches in. But yeah, 20 years ago I didn't mind Mu over V90 modem anyway, but getting back into that is of course, but you see some stuff I still remember. Also, if you get back to something like that, then after a couple of weeks you probably are very fluent at it again. So Linux, that would be QLA Big Endian without our fancy corporate. So this should be the updated version. Commit that in 2014 broke. QLA on Spark64. Partial revert to fix endiness in NVRAM firmware. Default initialization fixes that. That probably looks okay. I signed off here, and it probably should be good to go. Did I? No, I clicked the wrong button. Darn. I thought I sent out, maybe. Only live on this channel. I might not entirely sure, yeah, but Lisp-based usability, you guessed it. Then where did it move the email to now? Was it where did I even click? I clicked something like, maybe it was queued. Maybe I clicked on queue, because obviously just can't you show you all my inbox. Where would be the go to queue? Go to send. But yeah, some extra time wasted for having to use some fancy text-based email thing. Anyway, that's probably it. I need to find out if it sends this now or not. But you got the idea. Yeah, welcome everyone. Hope you learned something. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I hope to see you soon for the next stuff to come. But yeah, in my opinion, C should not really be used for anyone. Even you see even famous vintage, famous long-term kernel people don't even understand the C infrastructure, and C is hard, and moving code around is hard. Zero prems for some magic reasons today, and probably we do something more on the More Life channel, something in some minutes, just for the sake of it, or always something to do here. And I hope to see you soon for all the fun coding stuff to come.